Okay, and we are live. Welcome to is this the first show, Cece? Yeah?
First show. Usually I'm behind. You keep me hid.
So this is the first boy and girl show. If you're watching on TikTok, welcome. We love to have you here. This is the first show called the Boy and Girl Show, hosted by myself, Dr. Christopher Sloot, and Cece Shatz. Now, Cece, you're the Doyenne of dating. Is that?
Doyenne, here I am. I'm the Doyenne of Relationships.
I love it.
First dating and Life Transitional Coach.
Very cool. Very cool. So here we are on the WGSN-DB Going Solo Network Radio. This is the very first show that we are hosting as part of the Bold Network, or the Bold Wednesday evenings. We would like to tell you a little bit about what our show is about. If you are just watching on TikTok, you'll hear my friend Cece from the screen. Cece, what's the show about?
Well, we are talking about the differences between men and women.
Mm-hmm. This whole men are from Mars, women are from Venus kind of a thing, right?
Right. And we're not really quite sure what planet you're from.
That's very true. Very true.
We're going to give you a name. We're going to give you a planet. But yeah, we haven't decided.
I appreciate that. It could be Pluto, which is kind of a planet, kind of not, right? It could be the moon. So if you're just logging in, thank you so much for logging into TikTok. And if you're just joining us for our very first show, this is part of a larger network that Cece and I are putting together called the Going Bold Network. The Going Bold Network is a joint venture between myself and Cece. So if you have not heard what I've been up to lately, I am either dropping or selling, depending on what happens first, the plus size media magazine brand that I have created for various reasons. I have decided not to drop the name Bold because Bold is a part of me, and we're going to continue to call this the Going Bold Men's Network. So we're talking a bit about men, women, how all those things kind of translate. And tonight, specifically on this show, we're going to talk about the differences between men and women with regard to the Netflix and chill date. Now, if you're watching us on TikTok, if you've not done this before, we only go live for about 10 minutes on TikTok. I'll tell you where to find us after if you want to check us out at the end of the 10 minute for TikTok. And then we're going to be live on Instagram. You can check us out there as well. So Cece, I want to start this out right now. I want to get this all out on the table. Have you ever been asked to Netflix and chill?
Well, I think we've got a comment. I think in my generation, let's see what they're saying. Let's see. What's he saying? Oh, this is my first time seeing you. Hey, nice to see you.
This is the first time seeing you. And you know what? After you ask this question, we should talk about what's been going on with us lately. But I'm so curious, before we jump into this topic, Cece, and I don't want to, you're 42, correct?
Oh, yeah. Sure. all day I am.
She's from a different generation, so we're not. You never ask a woman her age. I don't care what generation you're from or they're from. But Cece, you've got just a few years on me. Have you ever been asked to Netflix and chill?
Okay, here's the deal. Now we're talking about it in a dating type of arena, right? So
yes.
How many dates are we in when they're asking about Netflix and chill?
And this is where, yeah.
So are they squeaky and they just don't want to take you out?
Right.
Do they want you to come over so they can snuggle and possibly get laid? Or is there a movie that they truly want to watch and they want to share that with you? So back to you.
We want to explore all that today. But first, before we even get into the Netflix and chill show, let's talk about what's been going on with us. Cece, you've had a lot of things happening. Tell what's been going on with you.
With me, what personally? So I am dating someone. We've been dating for about 6 months now.
6 months, right?
That's going pretty good. Going pretty cool. Up and down, a little bit of a roller coaster.
Right.
But I think it's because, we are a little older. And
right.
So, we tend to be a little bit set in our ways. And so when you're starting to kind of put that together, it's a bit of a transition,
Yeah.
And so, a little bit of up and down, but,
totally.
We're getting it on. We feel like teenagers. So what the heck?
Good. And you just moved now. You moved kind of an hour away from this man, and now he's got to travel.
I did. Actually, I met him online, and he loved the idea that I lived just down the street from him, and it was great.
Because he could Netflix and chill.
Right. And then just a couple of weeks after we met, I moved.
Right.
An hour away. So, yeah.
Gotcha.
So he thinks I'm worth the drive, so he's coming.
Absolutely. And he drives to you every weekend, or you drive to him sometimes?
Yeah, he drives to me every weekend.
Every weekend,
and one day, usually during the week.
Now that is something that men in our generation, I'm sorry, we just don't do. We don't drive to you every weekend. We don't do the things that we're supposed to do. And I say I try to. And we're going to talk about.
But then you don't get lucky.
Right.
Right?
I'm okay with that. I'm all right. I like to genuinely get to know somebody. So what's been going on with me lately? Looking at maybe even a career transition. I'm not sure what it's going to be yet. Really focusing on some ebooks. I'm focusing on some books as well. Doing another couple of things that I've been kind of working on. I have moved across the city from Central Vegas to Henderson, which is not that exciting, but my landlord sold my house, and so here we are. House is cute, not as big as it was. Lost my pool, so that's not cool. And just kind of it's a nice thing. Now, professionally, I'm super excited about making some pivots, making some transitions. I've got some books coming out. So just a lot of great things going on. Personally, not currently super, there's some folks that I'm talking to. I'm weighing it out. I'm seeing what's going on. If you followed my show at all, The Barbershop, I was really into somebody a couple of months ago, and it lasted a very short time, and we just weren't right for each other, but it is what it is, So, you live and you learn, and, I'm getting over it and moving on to some other, what is it, 8 billion people in the world? It's going to be fine.
Christopher, here's the thing is when I think we're more interesting when we have things going on in our lives.
Oh, yeah.
When we have a little bit of maybe, transition going on. And of course, that I own the Going Solo Network, which is a singles network. We have websites, Going Solo Community. We have the Travelers. So Traveler, we're doing a big travel thing a couple weekends from now, going down to Sanibel Island. And so, I'm very busy. And so to squeeze in, the weekend dating and to squeeze in during the week, that's a process for me to be able to do that. But, if you want to date and be with someone, you have to sometimes make those sacrifices,
I agree with that 1,000%. And I want to talk a bit about this whole Netflix and chill thing, because I don't know if it's always the connotation. So let's get this out on the table. First of all, I want to ask you, have you ever Netflix and chilled? And then I want to jump into the connotation of it.
Yeah, I don't know if it's like with Netflix. We'll watch TV or we'll watch a movie or whatever. Yeah, so we do that, and mainly we do it when we're just kind of tired and we don't feel like going out.
Right.
We just, it's like, okay, he'll come over and maybe get Chinese, or we'll decide, let's not go out. We'll just get Chinese and stay at home, or get a pizza and stay at home. It's not, but I also think that as you're dating at the beginning of it, you have to be careful and not fall into that routine, because then they don't want to take you out. It just falls into like, I'm used to, especially with, us old timers, they just want to stay home and watch TV all the time. And, and that's me. I'm an active person, so that's not my bag. I don't want to be watching TV all the time, but it is kind of nice to have a quiet time, and you light candles and you make it a bit romantic. And I like it.
Now, if you're just hearing on TikTok, I want to recap that for a second. And then unfortunately, in about a minute, we're off TikTok, and we're moving to our Instagram live, and then we're off. We're on YouTube and Facebook. But Cece just described, what you just described, Cece, was what women think is going to happen during Netflix and chill. Now, here's what men mean when they ask for Netflix and chill. Now, this is not me. I am not a Netflix and chill. When I say come over for Netflix and chill, and I don't use that phrase. In fact, one time I did say to somebody on a date, I said, recently, I said, now I'm going to be an F-boy, if you know what that means, the bad word. And I'm going to invite you over to Netflix after dinner because I want to pursue this physically, right? And she said, okay, that's cool. And we'll figure that out. But men typically, when they say Netflix and chill, what they're typically meaning is, I'm going to throw on Netflix and we're going to be intimate, right? Right. They mean sex. And that doesn't always mean, that's why the show exists, the Men and the Women show, right? Because men typically mean sex. And I'm being honest, there are nights I've had Netflix dates or friends over for Netflix recently where there was no intimacy, maybe a little bit of snuggling, a little bit of arm petting or something like that, a little bit of hand holding. Good night. Because I'm tired. And I literally just wanted your presence. I wanted your company. I wanted you next to me. You know what I mean? Nick says, I just want to watch some dang Netflix. Right. So I just want that company while we're doing something. Or to your point, right? sometimes we're exhausted, we're tired, we've had a lot going on in our week. I keep busy all the time. And I've suggested this. I've gone, look, I want to take you out. If you want to be taken out, and I appreciate that you want to be taken out, it's going to have to be Friday or even next week because I'm tired. If you want to see me closer in the week, then I'm going to propose that you come over and I'll cook, I'll order dinner, we'll do an ice cream date, I'll make it fun, we'll get board games out. I've had dates for Monopoly, right? But I'm going to put in a movie, I'll even rent it, I'll pay the money to rent a movie, but we got to chill inside. And there's no physical intimacy implied, right? On that note, we're going to switch off our TikTok. If you have not watched our show before, you can come right on to WGSN Going Solo on Facebook or on YouTube. Find us there. We're live right now. Elizabeth says, I think there's a balance you can go out and stay in. Yeah, absolutely. So we'll talk more about this on Facebook or YouTube, and we'll be on Instagram in a second. Thank you all for joining. Y'all rock. And Nick next says, what are we watching? Exactly. What are we watching? We are watching Netflix and chill is what we need to be. We're watching Netflix. So let me log us on to.
But when saying that, Christopher, I know you're doing all that in the background. I'll let you do that. But with saying that, it's when you do it. Like a lot of times, it's almost a signal, right? When you've gone out a few times. Let's say you met online. So you meet online. You don't count that as a date. Women do not count that as a date. So men will count it as a date. It's not a date. It's just
really?
You're just meeting. Right. So then you go out a couple times, and usually when they throw, let's watch a movie, it's when they're trying to get you over to the house.
Right.
Because they want to have sex.
Right.
Yes.
Now, wait a second.
So Stacey's right on that.
I want to come back to this for a second. We're going live on Instagram. I want to come back to that. Are you meaning to tell me that, and we're live on Instagram, welcome everybody. Are you telling me that some men you've spoken to think that meeting online, like, what do you mean? Like, if they Zoom with you or Skype, they consider that a date? Or if they just
Zoom, that's not a date. Zoom or Skype is not a date.
No, but they consider it to be?
No, when you've met online, when you meet online for the first time,
right?
That's not a date. That's just meeting. They're just meeting each
they
other.
They think that's, some people
and
think
you shouldn't even make it a date. It should be just for a few hours, and then you're out of there.
Yeah, for sure.
You're just assessing on whether you want to go out with them again. Let's see what Stacey says. As much as playing Monopoly may reveal about a person's character, that's an after meeting the parents.
After meeting the parents. I'll tell you about Monopoly in a second. I want to approach.
Here's another one. Comments not working on Facebook.
Oh no!
I wonder why they're not working on Facebook. They should be working on Facebook. They
should be working. Maybe they're not coming through. You have to put them through. So if you're just joining us on Instagram Live, we are talking about, this is the first show we've ever done, Cece and I, and you can't see Cece, but you're hanging out with me. We're talking about the Boys and Girls Show, and we are specifically talking about the Netflix and chill date. Now, if you missed the first 10 minutes of the show, but we're talking about the differences in what the connotation is. Now, the connotation is that men believe that Netflix and chill means some physical intimacy, where women feel as though it's just Netflix and chill. I'm a weird guy. I'm definitely a weird guy, and enough's been written about me for you to know that I'm a weird guy. But when I say come over and let's watch a movie, I am not implying physical intimacy in the slightest. Now, do I want physical intimacy with a partner? Yeah, I typically do, right? So I went out recently with somebody, and oh my God, she was so attractive. She was just such an and we've been out before, and like, she wore something that was just like, oh, she looked great. And I'll be honest, we were hanging out at dinner, and I had an appointment later on in the evening, right? And I said, look, I'm going to stay awake. Do you want to hang out a little bit longer? And at first we were going to hang out at my place and just kind of watch a movie. And I literally was going to watch a movie. And then I think maybe she got cold feet, and she's like, oh, why don't we go out? And I was like, I really don't want to stay out. Like, we've been out for hours. I said, I'm going to go home. And she was like, all right, well, I'm going to go hang out with my friend. And I was like, that's fine. Here's the thing. Would I have been intimate with this person if the opportunity arose? Absolutely. But I would have, of course, waited for consent, right? I think there's this connotation that you're put in a position too early to make that decision when you're Netflix and chilling, right? So women are put into this situation where there's some pressure involved maybe, and they want to be accepted. They want that physical intimacy. They're just not ready to have that intimacy or make the decision about that intimacy because it's too soon. And I think men men think with one brain, and it's not the brain that's up here. Let's be real, right? So that's what I think that the connotation is. But back to your point, Cece, you had mentioned a couple of different ways in which we can Netflix and chill. You talked about cooking dinner. You talked about staying in for the night. What's been like the best Netflix and chill date you've been on?
Well, we do it a lot during the week because we're tired, so you don't want to go out and stay out late or whatever like that. So we tend to do the Netflix and chill during the week when we see each other during the week. Yeah. But of course, that we've been dating for a while. So of course that leads to other things. But if you're just dating, I mean, I think you have to be careful because I think there's a line for women, there's that we want to be respected.
Yes.
And so if we're coming over to your house and you say, okay, it's just going to be, we're just going to watch a movie, we're just going to chill out, then you should really do that and not try to, make moves on us and all of this kind of stuff. Yeah. If we decide, that we want something else, then we'll make the move. You'll get the feeling, you'll know, that we want to make it happen. But I think that's where that line is. And then we get upset because we feel like, okay, you didn't respect us enough to keep your boundaries, Yeah. Oh, we've got a really long comment here. Let's see. Yeah. Okay, I'm going to put this up. I'll let you read it.
Okay. There you go. May I ask for your opinion? I've been seeing this guy for a while and he proposed to me, but is still in the home with his baby mama. And he says that we will be together, but can't leave because of the well-being of the child. He says that certain aspects of my life need to change, but I feel like the dynamic would change in my life if he would be truly committed to me. Wow. So Ariel, that is without a doubt, in my opinion, a men are from Mars, women are from Venus kind of conversation. And to be honest, that seems like two folks who are not, let me say this the right way. He's put, and I hate to pit it on him, but it kind of sounds like he did. He's put you in a situation where you're in a lose-lose because we're going to take a break from this, from the Netflix and chill thing for a second, because Ariel asks, this guy is basically saying there are things in your life that you need to change. And you're saying, well, those things would change if you weren't living with your baby mama. And first of all, this is the new 2021, right? This is what happens because there are so many broken families and broken, people are having children, and that's fine, right? We need to adjust as a generation to that lifestyle, knowing that you're probably I'm 36 years old. I'm probably gonna meet somebody with a child or two, at least one marriage, maybe not. They could have two children from two different marriages. That's cool. Like, it's fine. I'm going to have to adjust to the fact that there may be two dads in these people's lives, and I'm whatever's left. Like I'm Uncle Chris, or, whatever they're going to call me, right? Christopher. But here's the thing. I don't know the reason that he's hanging out, that he's living with his baby mama. It could be financial. Again, that's a 2021 thing. That's definitely a generational thing. We don't make as much money compared to the housing market as we used to, so we can't easily leave. I mean, I've dated people who have been still living with their ex, who have to wait and blah, and it's tough. So I'm not going to take that away from this man. He may be in a situation where he can't leave his baby mama. Maybe it's bad for the child. When does that end? When does that situation end? And here's what I don't love about what he said. And again, look, it's, the pot calling the kettle black. I've been in situations where I've said stupid stuff, but I like to think I'm in a growth mindset and I'm growing myself. He's put you in the situation where he says, first of all, you need to change these things before I commit to you, right? First of all, but he already proposed to you, right? So how much do you need to change? If I'm proposing to somebody, I'm going to be darn sure that that's a person that I want to be with. Bottom line, right? I don't propose until I know, well, maybe I did once. We're not going to talk about that. But now in my older balding age, the next time I propose to somebody, I would like to make sure that they're somebody that I want to be with for the rest of my life. Or you can't foresee the future, a significant amount of time. We've bonded, we're there, whatever. The second thing he says, though, is you've got to change these things. And then you come back and say, well, I would change these things if I weren't in this situation. This is super situational. I hate ultimatums, and men tend to do the ultimatums a little bit more in my experience. Maybe it's because I'm friendly with more women and they tell me. Women do the ultimatums too. They'll say, well, and again, for anybody who's joining this show for the first time, and I talk about men and women and gender roles, I need to be very clear. I am all for fluid gender roles. I'm all for fluidity. we're just talking about the stereotypical kind of gender roles, right? So like there's non-binary, there's LGBTQ, there's trans, there's all sorts of new gender roles that are out there. But we're specifically talking about, it seems like, a hetero relationship where this man is engaged to this woman or trying to marry this woman. I don't love that he's put you in a situation of wanting you to change. That to me is I hate to say the word red flag, but it's a red flag. It's an alert. I would be on alert for that. 2, that he's not leaving his baby's mother physically. And sure, it's not great for the child to have all these other, situations, but that's the reality of how we're raising children today. So if he can't get with that, like what is he going to do? Like invite you to live in his home with him? Like, how's that going to work? Right. In my opinion, and Ariel, I don't know you from Eve or Adam, and I apologize for making such a statement like this, but it seems to me like he's putting you in this situation because he doesn't want to commit. He's putting you in a losing situation. This to me sounds like a situation in which you're going to lose, and he's going to lose, and the child's going to lose, and his ex-wife's going to lose, or girlfriend, or the baby's mother. And that's a lot of what men do. And I've been there. I've been up on sides.
Can I say something?
Yeah, absolutely.
Ariel, he's an unavailable man. And what the reality is, it's not about him, it's about you. And what you said here is that he says that certain aspects of his life need to change. So my advice, Ariel, is allow him to make those changes and then come when he's available, and then you build a relationship with him. Right now, three's a crowd, and you just can't do it. So, I mean, I know it's very blunt, but that's the reality. No. And we as women have to set our boundaries as to what is good for us. And so if this relationship is not good for you, and this is what I'm hearing, if I'm not mistaken, this is what I'm hearing. And it's like, I really care for this guy. All of this stuff is happening, but we can't seem to work it out. Well, it's the timing in a relationship is what is the key. And so maybe it's just not the right time. He's maybe a great guy. Sounds like he's a great dad, but he's not available. If he was available, he'd be out of the house. He'd be ready to start dating. He'd be, he needs to man up and, get his life together, and figure out what he wants to do.
I just want to get. No, you're fine. You keep talking. I just want to get this in before we exit the live on Instagram. This is why I value you. One of the many reasons that I value, and I'm sorry for trying to cut you off. I wanted to get these words in before I exited the Instagram. You're brilliant. And you said that so succinctly and so effortlessly. No, it's true. And this is why we're doing the Boys and Girls Show, because it took me, how many statements to get to what you said. He's unavailable, and that's it. So that being said, you can find the YouTube channel. It's actually on my Instagram. It's on my story. It's also on the Facebook page. Is on my my Shorby on my profile. So that being said, we're going to be ending this part of the show. So come join us on Facebook or YouTube. You can also catch us. Aren't we on like a million other radio stations later? You can just Google us.
We drop this down and then it'll go into our live streaming radio station. So it'll be rebroadcast in several different platforms. So you won't miss it. It'll stay on Facebook and it'll stay on our YouTube channel. So it'll be there for you. But, I don't want to make it like it's so light because, Ariel, you've got feelings and your feelings are now being mixed and your emotions and all of that. And it's hard when you start really caring about someone because we as women give our hearts away, and men need to understand that, that's a very precious gift that a woman is giving you when we give our heart to you. And so it needs to be handled with care. And, and I feel by what you said is that he's in a place where he does care for you. So there's no mistake about that. He's just in a place where he can't get out of right now. He can't seem to, see the light between the trees. So you just have to, allow him that space to be able to work out his situation. And you can maybe possibly get busy doing something else and be available at another time. But this time in place, three's a crowd, and you need to value yourself to be able to say that's not going to work for me, and move on. We do have some other things here. Oh yeah, here she
Yeah, talk to me.
heart. I'm conflicted. My head and my heart are fighting. Absolutely. That's exactly what's happening. But you have to be realistic. Here's the thing. One other thing is I wanted to share, and we all struggle with this a great deal. It's like you can love somebody, right? You can absolutely be madly in love with them. You can every essence of who they are, but maybe you can't live with them.
Right. It's true.
You can't, at this time, you're not going to be able to live with this man. So then you have to think about what kind of relationship do you truly want,
Yeah.
And so if you want more than that, you have to respect yourself and say, hey, this is not really a good thing for me. Set your boundaries, move on. And you'll probably find, someone that's even, I don't want to say better, but someone that will match you at where you're at. Here's the thing is your vibration, right? When you continue a relationship like this, you're lowering your vibration. So these type of individuals that are not available are going to start, coming more and more into your life. When you set these boundaries and you become a strong individual, really truly know the essence of who you are, your vibration raises, and those that are attracted to you are the right ones that are to be in your life. So
brilliant. The metaphor that I think about, and then Ariel, let's do a whole show, I think, on unavailable men and women. But the metaphor that I think about is, imagine if you went to school for 8 years or however long it takes to get a law degree, right? And I'm using a law degree because I have a PhD, so I don't want to sound pretentious and quote and say my PhD. You go and get a law degree. And the first job you get out is, and there's nothing wrong with this job, okay? There's nothing wrong with it. But the first job you get is behind the counter at a fast food restaurant or in a retail location, stocking clothes, right? Now, you want to work at a law firm. Maybe you want to work for the DA's office. Maybe you want to do something, right? And you keep getting these interview requests on Mondays, Tuesdays, Wednesdays, Saturdays, and you can't go to them because you're working at this fast food place or this retail location. You have taken something that you're overqualified for, your vibration's higher, and you've made it a part of your life. Now, what you've done is you've made yourself unavailable to the thing that you're meant to do. When we do the stuff that's not meant for us, we are saying no to the things that are meant for us because we're making ourselves unavailable. Now, look, if you want to work in retail while you're interviewing and it's a boutique shop and it's your friend's store and you say, look, I've got to take off every couple of days and get an interview, cool, because you need the money. But don't pin yourself down to a 40-hour-a-week retail job when you just graduated from Stanford Law and you could be making six figures at your first law job, right? And not to say that the money is important, but the purpose is. In essence, what is happening in this particular relationship or in any relationship like this is that you've got a vibration level that you're not adhering to. You're doing what's not for you. And when that happens, you're not even seeing what's around you that could be for you because you're hyper-focused on this thing that's not for you. And I've done this. I will tell you, I've done this a dozen times. So take it from me. It might be a good time to say, this is not the right time. You need to sort things out for you. I need to sort things out for me. If we're meant to be, we're meant to be. Right?
Yeah. I'll just say one more thing about it is that, everything that we do in life is an experience. And it's something that we learn from. And maybe this particular situation is one that she has to learn something about herself.
Yes.
Because then she has to ask herself, Ariel, ask yourself, why did I get into a relationship with someone that is not free, And sometimes we are attracted to unavailable people because there's something within us that's saying that we don't want, we're comfortable with that because maybe we're not available. Maybe there's something going on in our life that we're not available. So my suggestion is to step back a little bit, look at yourself, take this as a learning experience and maybe move on from there. We've got a bunch of other comments. So let's head up with it. We got some on the Netflix and some on this one. So we'll hit them both. But this one here, she's talking about Netflix. You want to read it?
I get asked to Netflix and chill for first dates all the time. And I'll usually stop the conversation there. First dates are I get to know you, and that's not a Netflix and chill to me. And that's totally fine. And I 100% agree with that if that's what your vibe is. Now, it depends on how well you know this person, right? Now, I will say if you know somebody very well, right? I've been in situations where we know each other very well and there's a trust there, right? And so I can categorically say to somebody, hey, for example, Manna, I would like you to come over. I would like us to cook dinner. I'm just exhausted, and let's cook dinner together and let's watch. Now, it is your right to say that's not a first date for me, right? And then I say, okay, cool. So then the options are maybe we're not on the same vibe level because I'm super tired and maybe I don't have time for that kind of date. And you know what? Maybe I don't have time to date, to be honest, and I shouldn't be in that situation. But then I can come back and say, cool, you know what? I respect that. Let's go out a few times. And then, you know, I am a pretty good cook. I would love to have you over to cook. Somebody else also mentioned Monopoly is after you've met the parents. It was funny because we did learn a lot about each other during that Monopoly game, for sure, that we probably shouldn't have learned yet.
Okay, and there's some others here. It's really up to what you want to accept at this point. I think she was talking about Ariel.
Yeah.
And Stacy, I love you. Thank you so much. You can come on any show and tell me that I'm brilliant. I'll tell other people that you said that. And then Shelly said 3 years for JD.
Yes. Yeah. Well, I figured the 3 years plus the 4 years of college was 7 plus, you know.
Years and years and years. Yeah.
So.
Okay. And then this one, got to be careful that you aren't falling in love with the potential you have with someone instead of what's in front of you.
I've been there too many times, Manna, too many times. The last person that I was head over heels for, I was really head over heels for the potential and not what was in front of me.
Right. So, what we see in the future, right?
You know, she had sparks. She had these sparks of just utter growth, beautiful intelligence. Heart was there, gorgeous person. You know, she was basically pretty for a living. And I just thought, wow, wouldn't it be great? But what was in front of me was not what I was hoping, you know. I want to talk a little bit about, if I may, Cece, there are some other names for Netflix and chill. Have you heard of some of these names?
Well, before we do that, I just want to say one thing, and then we can go on to that. I wanted to say one thing about the Netflix and chill. I mean, we're talking about it because we're wondering, is it the right thing to do, you know, as we're dating? And women, you know, my suggestion is that men learn how to treat us. Mm-hmm. And so it's up to us to show them how we need to be treated. And so if we want to be respected, then that's what we do. And we set the parameters for that. Yeah. So if you're not comfortable, with going on a date to go home with them and you think, okay, they're just setting me up because they want sex, then back up, you know, back up to that. Yeah. You are in charge and you need to set the parameters of how you want to be treated. Right. And if you ever feel that someone is not treating you appropriately, if they're moving too fast or whatever, then you need to say, hey, you know, let's do this instead. Not that you have to blow them out, that you just have to say, you know what? And a lot of times, if you feel uncomfortable, if you share that with a guy and say, listen, I'm not really there yet. I'm not comfortable with that yet. They'll be okay about it, because a real man and someone that cares for you wants to keep you safe, wants to make you feel safe, right?
And I make it a point, actually, to not make a big deal of it if somebody says they don't feel safe or that they don't feel comfortable, because if I make a big deal out of it, it shows you who I am right then and there. If you say, well, I don't feel safe and I don't feel comfortable, I go, oh my goodness, how could you? Well, that's going to tell you a lot about who I am as a person, right? You don't feel safe, you don't feel comfortable? Cool. Let's do something that makes you feel safe and feel comfortable. Because as a man, and I've talked about it on the show before, I'm a dominant guy. And dominance is not what these clowns who are in their 20s think, where you just slap somebody or whatever. Being a dominant person means that you're protective, you're loyal, you are all about that person, right? That person is your partner, your soulmate, your absolute. You don't become dominant at a first date, right? So in order to be that, to me, that alpha, I'm going to be protective as heck from you. And if I'm the one who's threatening you in this particular instance, A, I'm a little ashamed that I've given off that vibe, but B, I'm not going to make a huge deal out of it, because that shows you that you're safe to explain to me what you're feeling. I want you to feel safe explaining to me what you're feeling, because God help me if you don't feel safe and we do something that you didn't like, I have to live with that, and I don't want to live with that. So if I say, so for example, with Manna's date, if she says I cut the conversation off right then and there, my answer would be, well, can we just have a quick conversation about it? Do you feel uncomfortable? If so, I didn't realize that. I would like to take you out on a date. I just don't have time until Friday. Can we go out on Friday? Would be my answer. Let's go out and get sushi, which I love. I'll get sushi 10 times a week. Let's go out and get steak. Let's go out and get burgers. And then, and sometimes I will say, look, I'm really physically attracted to you. I'm sorry. That may have led me to ask that question, and maybe I need to pull it back for a second. I've done that before.
And we don't mind that, women. We like to know that you're physically attracted to us. And ladies, his comments about being safe and wanting the woman to feel safe, that is such a manly thing. I mean, that women really love that. I mean, we get turned on by that. We love it when a guy wants to protect us and wants us to be safe and wants us to feel comfortable and feel safe. So we're all into that. Stacey said something else here. Let's see. You want to read it?
Yeah, if you don't mind. It takes a significant amount of prayer for me to see people for what they really are and not for their potential. God has helped me with that discernment and focus. That's really cool. I really dig that, Stacey. And then Shelly says, the fact that you as a man would want to talk about it is refreshing. Well, thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
I want to address Stacey's first. And it does. I think often we do get into this, and we can weave these two conversations together because, if a man's pressing the Netflix and chill, but they're an attractive guy, or maybe they've got a good job, or they make you feel a certain way, you do want to see that potential in them that, eventually they'll take me out. If they're starting with the Netflix and chill that early, they're probably not. And you want to be careful and know that the potential is not what you're seeing, right? On the other side of that, I've been in that situation so many times where I see the potential in someone and it's just not there. It's not, I can't tell you, my life coach and dear friend works with me on this all the time because I tend to fall for very, very attractive women who, and very often they make their living being attractive. And there's a certain level of narcissism that goes with that. I want them to be the caregiving, nurturing, soulmate alpha women that I want them to be strong with me. And they're just not there. So often they're insecure, and that insecurity will infiltrate itself into our relationship. Often they're abrasive or there's some toxicity there, and we can't vibe, and it's hard, and it actually it reflects and refracts onto me. Onto the other point about I forget the young lady's name. Shelly says the fact that you are saying that is refreshing. I think
Sarah
look,
also said
it's not
common to hear a man's voice.
More.
Yeah. That I wish that more men felt comfortable talking about not feeling safe in scenarios. This a calmness to a man that does voice it's truly. Now, see, this is the thing, is that men need to know this. I think this show is very important because men need to know that women like to be heard, but we also like to hear what the man has to say. Yeah. Because we want a depth, right? We want depth in a person, depth in a relationship. And so we're really actually looking for that true connection. And so often you'll hear people say, I'm looking for my soulmate. What they're really looking for is that connection that you have with someone, that you can be on that same plane, right? So, yeah. And I think you're refreshing. And I've known you for 4 years now, and I think you're a great guy.
Thank you.
If I was a little bit younger, sorry, I got a boyfriend, but still.
I'll wait my turn. And don't get it twisted too. People know about what's been said about me, and I've had a really rough go the past couple of years now. I'll say it till I'm blue in the face that 95% of that is untrue. It's a bunch of people being a bunch of jerks. But, there was a part of me that, and I will always say consent has always been a big part of who I am, safety, making sure that people felt safe in the room. But I will say this, I'll say 5% of what's been said about me is true. I'll say that I was arrogant. I'll say that I was probably emotionally, didn't realize that I was emotionally teetering, like I would play that game a little bit of emotions, but didn't realize I was doing it because I was defensive, right? And so were people unsafe around me? Absolutely not. Chelsea says, I've known you since high school. You've always been a gentleman, and always have been. Thank you. But there have been times, I think, where my arrogance or condescension may have made somebody feel emotionally unsafe. And it took a lot of prayer for me, for all the folks who are talking about prayer. It took a lot of prayer and reflection and accountability for me to say, you may have been a jerk to some folks. You may have spoken to people in a way that was condescending or made them feel unsafe emotionally, never physically unsafe. And so the growth that you hear, I had to get my butt kicked a little bit to get there. Now, not everybody had to, right? Some people, even always respectful, even when we could use being young as an excuse for being a jerk. Chelsea is one of my favorite humans. Chelsea and I.
Here's the thing. We're all, all of us have a past, right?
Yeah.
All of us have a growing period. There's things that we look back maybe on our lives and we think, gosh, I can't believe I said that or did that or whatever. But we are not who we were yesterday, nor are we who we are going to be tomorrow. And so we have a choice to step forward into that new being and be the best that we can be. And so we must take the elements that we've learned in our past, not beat ourselves up for it, but to give us guidance as we go forward. And so, I realize that you might think that you've done some things in your past, but your past is what got you to where you are today. And so, I just think you shouldn't beat yourself up so much. You just need to appreciate that you're making a change in your life. You're fulfilling what you want to fulfill, and you're moving forward and trying to be the best that you can be. And what can we ask of someone else? I mean, we want to always ask them to be the best that they can be. And then we have to decide, is that best good enough for us? Is that something
or the right vibration for us?
Right. Can we have it? And so I totally get that. So you were going to share with us some of the different names.
If there's time,
I probably don't know these. I'm old school, so yeah.
I think these are more facetious than anything, but I think they're kind of funny. So there's 10 different names, and I got this off of her campus, back to college season, something like that. So here we go. Instead of Netflix and chill, we've got Hulu and hang, Takeout and make out, HBO Go and Merlot, BuzzFeed and proceed, Netflix and nap, which I'm all about, Amazon Prime and bedtime, even better, study and get cuddly, freeform and dorm, MTV and are you free, and investigation, discovery, and shivery. Shivery? I don't know if I know that one. There's also, somebody said Disney Plus and thrust, which was very interesting. That's a favorite as well. But the implication with a lot of these are the makeout. It's the physical intimacy. And I think that's what we need to be clear about. When somebody asks you, if you want to Netflix and chill, I think, to me, this is what I'm gathering from this. I like to learn at every session we have. I like to come away with a lesson that I've learned. I think it seems to me like when somebody says, do you want to come over for a movie, your question should be, if you can, and truly mean the answer, do you want to watch a movie, or are you implying intimacy? Now, I don't know if that's a tough question to ask, right? Now, I would probably say to you, if Cece, you and I were dating, I'd say, Cece, I'd like to invite you over for a movie. It's date 3 or date 4. I would like to invite you over for a movie because I'm tired and I'd like to cook for you and I'd like to see you comfortable. And then, that would maybe ease that. Now, I can't, to be honest, as a man, I can't promise that we're not going to be intimate, but I can promise that I would ask consent first and I would allow you to make that move, right? Is that an okay thing to say?
Yeah. I mean, I think that's pretty good. I mean, here's the thing is, if you've gone out enough to where you start to feel comfortable with each other, I think women also like to do the Netflix and chill because they want to be able to, number one, see you on the home front, or maybe they'll invite you to their place where they'll feel more comfortable. But the reality is you want that one-on-one time because you want to start bonding together one-on-one, right? You want to eventually bring your relationship into a closer environment where it's quiet and you can talk and you can start getting to know each other the way they feel and whatever. If you're out into an environment where it's loud and you're dancing or you're doing whatever, or even going to a movie, in a theater, it's too loud, you can't communicate. But you go into an intimate, in your own personal setting and start to communicate, you do want that. That is something you do want. If someone never wants to go there, then that's a questionable thing too.
That's the
We've got
thing,
a
too.
whole bunch of stuff popping up here.
Yeah, go for it.
I love you guys for commenting. This is really
So do
great. Shelley said, past experiences shape you, but don't define you. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Then we've got here from the blog posts and text conversations I read, the accusations are grossly inflated. Women need to feel safe, of course, but bandwagon counseling is easily recognized by intentional. Okay.
Thank you.
Okay. My dating profile says straight up, don't invite me to your shady
apartments.
or if so, make sure it's clean, right?
Yeah. Don't ask me to cuddle, get a teddy bear. Now, that's funny. I'm talking about first dates.
Yeah.
Now, there's something to be said about the intimacy of enjoying the sounds of music. Now, there's a couple. I want to comment on a few things, Cece, and then feel free if you want to close us out. There's a couple of things here. All of these are conversations you want to have with somebody, I think, after a few dates, after you've gotten to know someone. Okay. Yeah. And so there are intimacy for me is very strange because I was so much of a playboy in my former life that I am really selective about who I'm intimate with physically. And I'm selective about who I'm intimate with emotionally. I don't give that up very easily. Now, when I ask for, if I'm at date 5 with you and I say, how do you feel about ice cream and cuddles or something like that? You can bet a year's salary that I mean cuddles, because for a lot of reasons. One is intimacy has been a little weird for me because of what's happened in the past, right? So it takes a lot for me to trust someone to be intimate with them, right? Number 2, I am all about cuddles to the point where sometimes that's even more fun for me than that physical intimacy. Give me some cuddles, maybe a little kissing if we're on date 5 or 6, somewhere there, But I also have a weird relationship with food too. So if I'm eating like ice cream or popcorn, like going to the movies for me, if we're going to the movies, we're not doing anything intimate after that because I'm eating an entire tub of popcorn, and I need to hibernate after that. So bet your bottom dollar that there's not going to be a lot of that intimacy talk because I can't do that, right? And I usually will say that, like, if it's at date 5 or 6, we've gotten to that point, I'll say, look, I'd like to invite you to this movie. I need to be clear with you. I'm going to eat an entire tub of popcorn. I'm going to need a nap after that. And that doesn't mean intimacy. It means a nap. So if you're down for a nap, I'm in,
You want to hear snoring?
Yeah. So it's exactly what Shelley's saying, right? There's something to be said about the intimacy of enjoying that. And the same thing with Chelsea, right? Several dates in, maybe I go to your shady apartment, right? And so, to me, this is a clear indication of, she says, okay, I'll tuck you in. This is a clear indication of men and women not effectively communicating, right? It's to a point where, the effective communication, I think, 5th date, I'll say yes, but I hate hearing about cuddling or someone. Yeah, of course. Yeah. Here's the thing. I'm going to effectively communicate with you after a few dates, and that's really challenging. The first couple of dates, you're still getting to know each other, right? So the effective communication on both sides is hard because you really, you don't know how the other person communicates. So then maybe that Netflix and chill or cuddling session is not a conversation to have on the first or second date until you've gotten to know the communication patterns of the other person.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I will share that, that I feel like you should be at least 3 dates in before you go. And even like she said, 5 dates, definitely. And what I do is when I do it and I say, absolutely, we can watch a movie, but just know that there'll be nothing else, absolutely nothing.
Yeah.
And then I hold to that because the reality is that then you set your boundaries, and so when you say something, you mean it. And so that's kind of important to do that. But then the next time then that's it. Forget it. but you have to show men how to treat you. And I learned that from just hard experiences. So something real. So what do you guys think? Do you like the show? Do you like this? Is this something that you would like to see.
I think in the comments
Yeah.
so far. And I didn't even tell you, Cece, I got a bunch of comments that I didn't even get to read from friends on Facebook.
Oh,
who
really?
messaged me prior because I said, message me about Netflix. A lot of people said, I hate the Netflix and chill. I need more effort. We had that one person, Skyla, who said, right on the comments, I don't like the Netflix and chill as a plus size woman because I feel like I'm going to be fetishized for that one night. You know, I had a couple of folks on my Instagram implying that they'd like the Netflix and chill with me, which was flattering. Thank you. But I think, Cece, your, if I may, your wisdom and the way that you say things is really just such a compliment. And it's really, I'm so glad that I get to do this show with you.
Oh, well, thank you. I feel the same way about you. I think that being able to talk with someone that is a little bit younger, but then we're still on the same wavelength about things. It's really about understanding your core values, what's important to you, and being able to embrace that as you move forward to be in relationship with other people. And communication is truly key. We've got a big long one. You want to read that one?
Yeah, absolutely. And if I may, I'll take a stab at it first. Sarah Short says, why do we put a time frame on it and it feels safer? I'm a very energy-driven person and boundaries are hard for me, but I still trust myself with some people on a first date or fifth date. Curious why you think third date might be a better or maybe a fifth date, etc. So Sarah, this is really interesting. I'm going to introduce a concept that I actually want to write a book about. I would tune in again. Oh, thank you so much, Ellie. Here's what I think. I think when you have a vibration with certain people, Stacey says, I agree. I'm very sexual and comfortable with myself. I think if you have a vibration with someone, I think your vibrations are like two ingredients that sometimes they match so perfectly that you do know. And also in today's digital age, you might be talking for 3 or 4 weeks. It could be long distance, or you're just not ready to meet yet. So you could be talking a while. I have this theory, and I don't know if it's true or not. I think that certain people and their makeup, we have a finite amount of time on the planet where we vibe together. It could be 1,000,000 minutes. It could be 17 minutes. And based on that like vibration level is how long we're going to be comfortable and okay with each other. You may be talking about somebody that you're on that vibe with, that you've got 1,000,000 minutes with. And the first time you meet up with that person, you're like, this is the person. I want to be intimate with them. I want to do it. Conversely, you may go on a date with somebody. You may be on date 10 because you're just trying to make it work because on paper, they've got everything that you look for. You're past minute 17 already. You're no longer going to be comfortable with that person. There's no intimacy that's going to make you, that you're going to want, right? And so I think, but as that's a conversation that both of you have. Believe it or not, Cece, I've been in a situation, even post-blog, and they knew about the blog. They said to me, we have sex when I decide, not when you decide. But I was saying no. And that woman said to me, I want intimacy now, and I've decided it. And I was like taken back, and I felt pressured, and I did it, to be honest. But I didn't feel comfortable.
Poor thing.
I know. Well, she went ahead and blasted me on the internet afterwards, which is terrible. But you may be in a situation where you feel comfortable right away. And if that's your comfortable,
okay, let's table this conversation because I do have something to say on that. We're going to have to wrap up, or we won't be able to post on some of the other platforms. So let's make this maybe our next topic.
Yes.
Because I think it's very valuable. It's a very valuable topic. Should we, and when should we, and that type of thing. So you come up with a clever title, but this is what we'll talk about. So all of you that are listening, if you want to talk about this subject, about when to wait, when to move forward, let's talk about it. Let's air it out here and see where we're at with it. But I've got a lot of things to say on that matter. So definitely we need to talk about this. So, but I am Cece Shatz, and I'm the Doyenne of Relationship Building. I am a divorce, dating, and life coach. And we have the Going Solo Network, and Christopher and I are building out the Going Bold network. So this is the Wednesday, Going Bold Wednesday. We're talking about men issues, which really intertwine with us women. Mm-hmm. And so, but we want to embrace men and uplift them to be the man that we want in our lives. And so what better way to do than to talk about it and talk about important subjects, right?
Absolutely. Thank you so much for your energy today, Cece. I'm Dr. Christopher Salute. You've watched the very first episode of the Boy and Girl Show. Is that what we're called? The Boy and Girl Show. So thank you so much for your energy, Cece, and thanks for having me on the show.
It's great. It was a great show. I love it. I hope you guys liked it too. So we'll see you next time. Bye for now.
Bye.